Young Early Pod.
That's Young Apollo right there.
Young Apollo and Young Early Pod.
Newest member of the Spec. By now, if you haven't heard that song, you're fucking up because it would have come out yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But as of the recording today, it's coming out tomorrow.
That's right.
Just confusing the shit out of you guys.
We're recording on weird time schedules.
New artist under the Spectators Collective, Apollo. Go follow him, Apollo Mission 27. Got a brand new single out. It's a fucking joint. I love that song.
That it is. That it is.
He sent that to me probably a month ago or so, just on some, like, hey, check this out. I'm not sure, blah, 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 blah. I was like, bro, let me get on this. It was only one verse at the time. It was one verse in the hook, and I was like, bro, let me get on this.
And did he say, nah?
He was like, yeah. And then when I got to the studio, like the next day or 2 days later, he was like, well, I have a second verse. And he plays it for me, and we were both just like, nah, this is you. He stuck to his guns, which I like.
I dig it.
It's a great song. Guys, make sure you go check that out. I really, really, really think you guys are going to like this kid. He's my favorite rapper in the area for sure. Just one of my favorite out. He's the kid can spit. He's young. He's learning to make songs, but I hear him every day in the studio making songs, and like he could give you a 16 any day. Like he can go shit out a 16 and that shit's going to be fire. But he's learning like hooks and making songs, and it's not taking him very long. He's catching on pretty quick.
Yeah. Super young, so he's got time to learn. Unlike me.
You're old as fucking dirt.
Yo, I just want to take a second to say how fucked up that Twitter situation was with Apollo that we were in. For anybody that doesn't know, Apollo realized on Twitter that he hadn't set his birthday. And he tried to set it, and they kicked him off because he created his Twitter when he was 12 and technically did not follow their terms of service.
Right.
So they kicked him off.
So now he's 54. long story short, now he's 54.
And now he's his dad's age.
We probably shouldn't have said that. He's going to get kicked off again. Twitter's going to do some research.
Yeah, because this podcast is super popping.
Yep.
For sure. No, but that's pretty fucked up that they'll just fucking...
Yeah, that was bad timing too with the new signing and his song coming out. That was kind of scary. Moe-T texts me at 3:30 in the morning, and he's like, "So here's the deal." And I woke up at like 8 and was like, "Okay, not sure what we can do about this."
Yeah, it was. I don't know, dude. That's kind of really fucked up that social media channels.
It's messed up that they would retroactively kick you
without
off
like saying anything.
Because
like,
the whole issue of it is
it's like tricking you into
but the whole issue of it is they don't want the younger kids to be on the accounts and everything. But he got one over on him. He's past the age now. Like,
yeah,
you're not saving anyone now, so don't punish anyone now.
The thing is, they're a technology company. I get why I was reading about it, and I get why they did it, because they have to figure out a way that they can delete the content that he posted when he was 12.
Mm-hmm.
They can't have that on there. That's why they just completely take him off.
Okay.
But I'm like, you're Twitter. Like, you can't come up with some sort of
way to delete
code that can say, oh, we detected that.
Could. So from this day,
from this day before you get your post deleted. Like, that doesn't seem like rocket science to me. I'm in computers. That's a pretty easy code to write.
Right.
Like, do it instead of implementing this thing. And then they like released like a official press release that said, yeah, we realized it was kind of like spur of the moment, catching our users by surprise. But until we figure out a way that we can delete posts more efficiently, this is just the way it's going to have to be. I'm like, you don't think you should have done that before?
Yeah. Well, at least it worked out. Fingers crossed. But he's got it back.
Absurd. Twitter. Absurd.
Yeah, the Twitter support is funny too. Like, okay, give us the handle of the account in question. Okay, here's the handle. We can't find it. Okay, thanks.
Right. Well, at that
That's
point,
because you deleted it.
at that point, I was literally just trying to like figure out a way that I could get around their automated bullshit.
I know,
so that
but
I
still,
could
it's
like.
funny.
No, it's such a fucking joke.
Mo and I are back from just a little mini road trip, doing a couple shows with the Green Mitten Boys in Chicago and Minneapolis. Very cool to get out there and see you guys. Actually, I was pleasantly, I don't know about you, we haven't really had a chance to talk about it other than the trip home, but I was pleasantly surprised with the turnouts.
Yeah.
They were, like, I knew they were going to be smaller shows that, you know, our fan base just isn't this massive fan base, but you guys killed it as far as buying tickets and getting out and buying the merch and supporting. Like, we had a lot of fun, impressed with the ticket sales, happy with everything.
Yeah.
And it's always good to meet you guys. Like, I love being able to do the meet and greets after the show, because you guys always take advantage of it, and I get to talk to you and hear your stories. And I always hear so many cool stories. And that's the type of shit that I come home rejuvenated. Like, okay, it's easy to get in the daily grind of like, okay, I got to make more music. I got to do this. And you kind of lose sight of some of the big picture things and some of the real deeper reasons for things. And hearing your guys' stories, very cool. In addition to the cool personal stories, I had my first Spec fan, because it's the first show not the first show I've done since we started the podcast, but one of the first ones, and had a fan who was like, instead of talking about the music and the songs necessarily, he was like, you know, I just really vibe with your outlook on life and your attitude and your thoughts on things and stuff. And so I was like, so do you listen to the podcast? He's like, hell yeah, everyone, blah, blah, blah. So it's cool too, because I know the podcast is a lot smaller thing than the music. It's not reaching nearly as many people as the music. So you just kind of do it and you put it out, and you know, some people listen to it, but it's cool to actually see that there are loyal listeners that appreciate the content you're giving. And so yeah, shout out to you guys for coming out.
Yeah, I was kind of blown away by how many people talked to me about the podcast.
Yeah, and the better the turnouts are for shows like that, the more opportunity there is for us to do it again. So, if we come to those cities again, show out again, we'll go to different cities too. It's really appreciate you guys, and shout out to the Green Mitten Boys, because we couldn't do a lot of this shit without them. They brought the bus along, which was the bus was super clutch. And Danny always helping out with the merch, Jared with the videos and photos. Hopefully Jared gets me a little bit of video footage soon.
He fucking better.
But yeah, dope shit. Fun trip.
Yeah.
I guess before we really get into the pod, because it happened while we were on the road, let's get this out of the way. Got to recognize Mac Miller, R.I.P. Sad news. We were pulling up to the venue in Minneapolis, and we were literally pulling right up, and I was on my phone scrolling through Twitter, and I saw Wiz tweet something about R.I.P. Mac, and I was like, the first thought in my head, you know, both from Pittsburgh, whatever, I was like Mac Miller, but I thought, nah, I can't be. And literally 2 seconds later, Danny from the front of the bus is like, dude, Mac Miller died. And we all just were kind of stunned and couldn't really believe it. Super sad, man.
Super young.
As I mentioned at the show that night, and I'll mention here for the listeners, I didn't know Mac at all. I never met him, but he was a big inspiration for me as a white kid that was super into hip hop and wanted to rap and was good at rapping, but didn't want to be the frat rapper because I was good at rapping, but I wasn't from the streets, so I can't talk about that shit. And Mac was right in that lane, and he made it work, and he got respect from people that you want to get respect from, and made it into a lane that was really cool for me as a white kid in that situation. And so he was a big inspiration to me. Danny and Jared knew him and had some mutual friends that were very close to him, and so It was tough, man. It was tough, but definitely one of the, you lose these celebrities and these artists, and I guess none of them had really hit that close to home for me. This one was definitely the one that hit the closest to home in recent memory.
Yeah.
For not knowing a person. You know what I mean?
Because he's one of the guys that you can look back on when we started doing our stuff and vividly see him doing his shit like at the same exact time. Like,
yeah. Well, and as I mentioned too, he's been signed for a while now. He signed a big deal with Warner, but for a long time, he was the big independent artist. Yeah. It was like, who are the big independent indie grind hip hop artists? Mac Miller was the first name out of your mouth.
Yeah.
For a while.
For a long time.
So there's that aspect of it too.
And he was so successful so young. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, he was only 26, right? When he died?
Yeah.
And he's been in the game for a while. So, yeah. I mean, by all accounts, he was a super, super genuine dude, good to everyone around him. You can even see on social media the stories you hear from people, the people he touched. So, R.I.P. Mac Miller. He'll be missed. I would be remiss if I didn't bring that up. But anyway. Let's keep it on a somber note. MSU Spartan football, Detroit Lion football. We get home. We literally were on the road all day driving from Minneapolis back home, and MSU ended up having a late game because they were at Arizona State, so they didn't kick off till like 10:45 p.m. Eastern time. So we were able to watch like the second half when we got home, and I was dead tired, but I was like, I gotta watch this game. And God, was it miserable.
I fell asleep.
It actually felt like, I remember saying this while I was watching it, it felt like a typical Lions game from the last couple years, in the fact that it felt like we were in control of the game from the start. Like we were the better team. We just couldn't capitalize like in the red zone and little things like that, but we were in control, and you just kept waiting for it to, okay, we'll separate now. Yeah. And then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, you look up and it's tied and you just lose. Like that's what the Lions have done the last few years. That's what the Lions do. Then Monday Night Football for the Lions, I realized I would have killed for those Lions. Mm-hmm. That performance by the Lions on Monday night against the Jets, I'm not kidding you. I think it's the worst performance from any of my sports teams that I've ever witnessed. In my lifetime. Ever. Hands down. The worst. Not one of the worst. The worst one. No, it was the worst one of my lifetime. We sucked on. Stafford was awful. The rest of the offense was awful. There was no running game, no blocking up front. The receivers were dropping balls. The defense started out hot and then got shitty as the game got more and more out of hand. The special teams was god-awful. Garbage. For a professional sports team, there was no like... That third quarter was a joke. That was high school shit. It was... Alabama would have done better than the Lions that night. Way better. I mean, it was sad, man. We should be kicked out of the NFL for that performance. I'm not even kidding. And so that being said, with it being all facets of the team, we have a brand new coach, Matt Patricia. I have no choice but to look at him. That team was not ready to play at all. After a few days, I've sat back and I'm gonna take the attitude of it was just a shitty game. Throw it in the trash and just start over. Like move on. Right now, if we come out this weekend and look shitty, okay, then I'm all on board of the house is burning down. But I'm just gonna throw that one in the trash. The problem is we have a tough division. We were at home against the fucking Jets. A rookie quarterback's first game, he throws a pick six on the first play of the game. We're up 7-0 and we get smacked. Like, that's a game you had to win if you want to do anything this year. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's the Jets. So even if you're trying to look at it optimistically and say, okay, just one absolutely awful game, throw it away, we got the rest of the season. Well, even if I try to look at it that way, we needed to win that game. Like, not only did we look awful, blah, blah, but we needed to win. We're just... I can't.
it really sucks this last weekend because between MSU and the Lions, what the fuck? Like, I'm having a hard time wanting to watch football other than for fantasy now.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm going to give both the teams, because with one loss, you know, especially MSU, we'll see. If we get another shitty one, then it's a wrap. Like, football, every game matters so much. You get too far down, it's a wrap.
But that's why.
And that's the thing. MSU against Arizona State was another game. It was like, yeah, it was a tougher game on the road, but we got to play Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State. Like, that was a game you had to win if you want to do something.
That's why, though, that it's just hard for me to get excited.
I know. I agree. I'm definitely not. I'm not nearly as excited as I was. Like, I'm obviously going to keep watching and rooting, and we still have a lot to play for. It's one game, and it's early in the season, but man, it doesn't look good.
But yeah, I guess that's the thing is it's like we lose these games, and at least I can see like a silver lining of like, oh, this certain thing went well or something like that, but we just couldn't put it out. Both teams, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
This looks garbage.
Yeah. The only thing about State was for a lot of that game, it was like we just couldn't get over the hump. Like, we'd get into the red zone. We were moving the ball. Like, I felt like for most of that game we were in control. Even if we weren't playing amazing, we were in control. But we just couldn't get points on the board.
But I guess that's the thing is it's Arizona State. Like,
I mean, they could turn out to be pretty good.
You better hope.
They got the best wide receiver in the country, and that we made that quarterback look pretty damn good.
I mean,
but who knows? We'll see. Like, yeah, it could end up being like the season we went 3-9, and we had some close wins at the beginning, and then to teams we probably should have blown out, and you realize, wow, we're not even that good. I don't think it's going to be like that, but damn, it's definitely kind of scary. It's going to all be about my fantasy football teams this year. Do the most and number one bunner.
Disgusting.
The Buns had a dominant performance week 1.
Yeah. I feel like you always have a dominant performance in week 1.
Yeah, until I get fucked by the injury bug.
Yeah, okay. I think everybody gets fucked by the injury bug.
No,
I'm the only one. I'm the only one that gets fucked by the injury bug.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying, like, last year, I had the number 1 pick in the draft. I had David Johnson. He goes down in the first game. Mm-hmm. That's shitty.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just saying.
You need to overcome.
I know, you're right. I'm not using that as an excuse. You asked. You said I start off hot and then I fizzle. Well, that's not
my
true.
My first rounder is about to be out, so
I've only missed the playoffs 1 year. You know who the pick of the draft was?
I've only missed the playoffs 1 year.
Pick of the draft, James Conner. He's going to start for like at least 10 fucking games.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was a good pickup, and like,
it looks like Le'Veon is nowhere near coming back.
Which he's fucking he should literally like just suck it up and come back.
The Steelers should trade him, dude. James Conner looked good. I'm not saying James Conner is Le'Veon Bell, but I'm saying the whole situation surrounding it. Like, Le'Veon seems like he's in no rush to come back. The team's already like spoken out, like the O-line has spoken out against him and
against him.
Not like. But they were basically like, I can't remember direct quotes, but they were basically like, he's not here. Fuck him. Like, he should have been here. And we're rolling with James Conner. Like, they had a few, the O-lineman had a few things to say about him.
See, that's why I think he's stupid.
They had a few things to say about him.
I kept hearing like all the way up until the starting Sunday, you know, all the ESPN and analysts and get your money, blah, 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 hold out. It's like, dude, you do realize that a running back is a little bit more than him.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's going to get really interesting if James Conner keeps balling. Because the whole idea, I get Le'Veon's whole idea. Running backs come in to the pros, and they're a position that's like ready to go. Yeah. They don't need to really develop.
Right.
And they have a short shelf life. Like, once a running back is high 20s, right. You're losing your legs.
Yeah, I agree.
So they have a short shelf life. But at the beginning, they have to play on their rookie contract.
Yeah.
So like Le'Veon's been the best running back in the NFL playing on a rookie contract.
Yes.
So then all of a sudden it's like, okay, time to cash in. you got to make sure you get a good contract and don't get franchised for 1 year, because you're also at a huge injury risk at running back.
Right.
So he's trying to lock in that long-term contract. The problem is if James Conner keeps balling and Le'Veon keeps holding out, does his value go down?
Yes, it does.
So in the meantime, he could be playing for whatever it is, $14 million under the franchise tag.
I'd wonder what his offer. He had to have had like offers though. Like what were the offers that he kept turning down?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what they were. I know. Yeah, I don't know what they were. I don't really know the exact situations financially, but yeah, it's an interesting situation. I'm not even going to say he's stupid because I don't know the details of it, and it's like I always have a hard time just like telling someone else what to do financially. But yeah,
I mean, you can't deny that he is a talented dude, and like there are only a few elites in the NFL, running back wise, but also you can't ignore the line. Like you can't do that.
I know.
You put him on put him on the Lions and see what he does.
Well, I know. And then with the O-line saying that stuff, it's interesting even if he comes back. So here's a few quotes from the O-line. One veteran, not necessarily just the O-line, but players on the Steelers. One veteran Steeler told me players waited a day to criticize Bell to give him a chance to come in Wednesday, but, quote, he effed us. One of the O-linemen, just sit out the whole year then.
Yes,
when asked about Bell showing up week 10, why play hide and seek? Why let your agent say this? Just man up and tell us what you're going to do.
If he does come back, like you're not going to have your line for you.
Right. Like, yeah, it's football. They're still like, they're going to block, but it's weird. It's weird now. But yeah, shout out James Conner. Young stud for the Buns.
We'll see if it continues.
Oh, well.
Don't get too high on your own supply, Packy.
Oh, well. It'll continue. Oh, God.
So, I want to talk about these slew of Russ interviews.
Okay.
And I don't really have anything specific to talk about, but the biggest thing...
Was that you?
Yeah.
What the hell, Chewbacca?
That stood out to me is, dude, like, I agree with pretty much everything that dude says.
Yeah, I tweeted it the other day, something like, he's the best interview in hip-hop. Like, he's one of the few that actually has a good head on his shoulders.
And my thing is I'm beginning to see why there's such a gap between, like, the entertainment industry and just, like, regular people.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, it literally is, like, even watching his mostly his Hot 97 interview, not even the Breakfast Club one, because I feel like they were a little bit more like Charlemagne helped to kind of steer it towards on his side a little bit. I do feel like the Hot 97 one, Rosenberg like kept like steering it in a different direction.
I hate Rosenberg, by the way. I'm not a fan of Peter
But he's one of those dudes that is literally like,
I shouldn't say
like,
hate.
so,
I'm not a fan of his.
So apart. Like, he likes to think that he's not all the way a part of the industry, but everything that he says is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Bottom line, if you haven't heard, basically what Russ is talking about in his interviews, and you can jump into, because I didn't like prep any of this, but he talks about like internet culture, as far as fans and people online saying whatever they want and having no repercussions for it. Like telling an artist, hey, fuck you. Like somebody dies and someone tweets at another artist and says, wish it was you or something. But yet these same people are the ones saying like RIP to everybody and like, you know, all sensitive. And
right.
he talks a lot about different things within that area.
Right. The other area that I was most interested in, because it's always a hot topic that like people in the industry are always trying to refute.
Mm-hmm.
Like it kind of goes along the lines of like the Nadeska or whatever her name is.
Nadeska, yeah.
What she got all upset about and stuff like that is what Russ keeps saying is like, I am not about an industry that I literally have to be about everybody, like suck up to everybody else in order to get even halfway to where I want to be.
Oh, I thought what he was saying about like he has a couple more albums and then he's going to disappear. I thought that's the smartest thing someone in his position could ever say. And when he was saying it, they kept misinterpreting him like he's going to retire. No, he's just saying he won't be visible.
No, I know. But what everybody keeps saying though too, like the rebuttal to that all these industry heads keep saying is, you have to do that in pretty much anything that you go into anyway, which is literally probably like 25% right.
Yeah.
Like, yes, of course, anytime that you want to go into anything, you got to go sit in an interview and suck up to the guy that's going to like.
And I do agree with that.
Like, and I get it,
but it's a whole different universe.
But that's what these guys don't understand. And they keep trying to like compare them.
Yeah.
And they're not comparable.
Yeah.
Like it's,
I mean, and that's where I will say, I'm not a fan of Rosenberg, but he does have, he can speak on that. He has a right to speak on that because he is in a few different worlds, but it's all entertainment.
Right.
Like, take Joe Schmo at his 9 to 5. Yeah. Is there a certain level of like schmoozing that has to be done? Yeah, but it's very little.
Yeah.
When you compare it to the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
And it's a Russ kept saying it's a weirdo universe. Like
I think it's a
terrible place for like mental health and keeping your head on straight when you're dealing with all these
personality types thrive in that space. And and that's why though
fake personality.
Then that's what I'm saying is that's why when you try to have discussions with people like Rosenberg, like they can't understand it because they are not.
Yeah. Dude, that's part of the reason. And I've talked about this topic, but I've never said this on the podcast as an excuse because I just don't really believe in excuses like that. But since we're talking about this, I'm very much like that, which is why I vibe with Russ. And I think that's part of the reason. So what I was going to say is on this podcast, we've talked before about how you and I, if there's one major area we could have and can do better, it is like the management side, like the going out networking.
Yes.
We have zero industry connects. We don't have a manager. We don't have anyone working, doing all this stuff for us. Like we don't know other artists. We don't know booking agents. We don't know promoters. Like we are in our own, and I'm not saying that's cool and that's how people should be, because that hinders your success.
Yeah,
for sure. But that's why, is because that's not me. But I can't just go. It's so hard for me to just go be buddy with everyone and shake hands and suck people off when that's not how I feel. Here's
the thing that I wish Russ would work on translating a little bit better, because I know what he means when he keeps saying all this stuff. When you take somebody like that, that's the opposite of you, and they're trying so hard to fit into it. Maybe it doesn't even have to be the opposite of you. It's just the you that is willing to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
That you're saying that you just can't be. That is what causes mental health issues. You start to care too much
about pleasing everyone else.
Yes,
I know.
Exactly. But that's the thing,
it's not what the actual issues are. Like, I don't care what side you're on. Like, I'm not saying everyone agree with all of my opinions on things.
No.
I'm saying don't feel like you have to.
Exactly. But that's the exact problem. And I don't think I've ever heard him like say that specifically, but I know that's what he means.
Right.
He keeps like tiptoeing. He doesn't even tiptoe. I just don't think he really knows how to like say it. But that's kind of like every single time that he was going on these interviews, I couldn't help but keep thinking like, dude, it's pretty much just like you are choosing to not feed into it. Therefore, you are feeding your brain into being a little bit more healthy than the guys that think that they're doing a good job at what they do. And then 20 years down the road are going to be depressed and wonder why they don't have any real friends and things like that.
And that's part of the reason why you see some like successful people are like some of the most depressed, fucked up people, is because that you do all these things for success. You sacrifice so much of yourself for success that at the end, there's nothing left of you. Right. You've become like, you've conformed to please so many other people that there's nothing left of you, and then all you can do is escape.
So, and then I will take it a step further that, you know, why does everybody hate Russ? Here's the reason. It lies within that is he came up on the internet doing everything his way for years. Like, and getting turned down, denied, year after year after year after year. That gets to you. And then to finally break through on your own terms and start doing something, actually making money and everything like that, in the way that everybody probably told you for 10 years that you couldn't do, you are going to walk around with the biggest chip on your shoulder ever. But the reverse of that is the industry people that are saying, Russ, you got too big of a chip on your shoulder. You need to dial it down, like blah, 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 blah. They use the excuse of, it took me 10 years to come up in this industry and I had to do this and I had to do that. Well, we're not taking away from your grind. All we're doing is saying, is it the most healthy way to get there?
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Sacrificing yourself.
Like, both of you are grinding hard.
Yeah.
But, are you sacrificing your mental health to get there at that point?
Yeah, mental health and like, even if you're one of those people that can be, nobody's completely unaffected, but more unaffected than others by the outside noise. You're still sacrificing part of yourself when you conform to so many other people. And I'm not saying be that person that, like, I'm a pretty unconfrontational guy. Like, I'm not, like I said, I'm like Russ in a lot of these opinions, but I'm not like Russ in the fact that I'm not going to be in your face throwing my opinions out there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. Like, if you feel this way and I don't, I'm just going to keep to myself. Like, I'm not going to be buddy-buddy with you, but I'm also not going to be like, fuck you, you're an idiot, you know, and come out against you necessarily. But, but that's what people need to understand is, like, even if you're not affected by all that shit and you're like, oh, I'm just climbing the ladder, at the end of it, you're more affected than you realize. You've become something else.
Right. Yeah, but and I guess that's the thing is, I haven't necessarily heard him say that. And I know that that's what he's trying to get at. But the thing is, anybody with a brain can get what he's getting at. Like, I do think I get what you're saying. Not the guys that are in the industry. They don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
They do. That's actually something I was impressed by and glad that, okay, so Russ has built this fan base very much independently and hasn't had, until recently, until he got signed, industry cosigns and such, right?
Right.
So I think it's important and big that he was able to go on Breakfast Club and Hot 97 and speak about things like this. And actually, I thought Envy and Charlemagne at Breakfast Club agreed with him. I thought they heard all his points and pretty much said, you're a smart dude. You got a good head on your shoulders. And then at Hot 97, I thought for the most part, Ebro agreed with him.
For the most part.
And Rosenberg had a few hesitancies, but the overall points Rosenberg did agree with. I think it's good that, because so much of the hip hop world, like, that are listeners to Breakfast Club and Hot 97 and only know Russ from fuck Russ on the internet. They don't actually know Russ and his come up in his music.
Right.
I think it's important to see those interviews and hear those interviews from Russ and be like, oh, this is Russ. And oh, people that I respect like Ebro and Charlemagne actually agree with what he's saying. Let me actually give this guy a chance. I hope that happens.
Yeah, I think for the most part they did, but it was for the easy points that, like, not really anybody, unless you're absolutely retarded, could really refute.
But that's the problem, bro. Is, like, so much of what Russ is talking about in these interviews to you and I is common sense. To the hip hop industry world, it's not. It's part of the reason Russ is hated, because he thinks all these things, and so many people, like, aren't on board with them. Bro, it seems so common sense to you and I, right? Like, don't do drugs.
Right.
Like, if you got a dude that's a drug addict and a dude that's not, And I'm not dismissing addiction. I'm just saying in general, someone's a drug addict and someone that's not. I come from a world where if you have to pick one, who's the loser?
Yeah,
the drug addict.
No.
But this weird world is like, no, that's the cool person.
But I think that's a little too simple, though.
It's very simplified. But I'm saying like that common sense to you and I it's the opposite in this world.
But I think the biggest point that people miss, though, it's the point beyond all of that simple stuff is you cannot ignore the fact that there are two different roads that you can go down. And it's not just point blank like you can either do drugs or you can not do drugs. Like it's why. It's the why. Why are you doing all this?
Oh yeah,
stuff?
and Russ talked about that, which I think is good to clear up his opinions on it. And that's another area I totally agree with him. And that's why I say like addiction is a real thing. You know, people have their own personal struggles, and who am I to comment on someone else's? And when I'm talking about someone that's doing drugs as a loser and someone that's like an addicts, I'm not talking about the people that are serious addicts and have a problem. Like Russ said, you're talking about Joe Schmo, your friend down the block who has a great life, who's just at a party one weekend and is like, let's do lean and Xannies and it's fucking dope.
Right.
Like, no, it's not.
Right. And you know that.
And he makes a good point when he talks about like, I'm not sitting here saying, fuck you, you're a loser for doing this shit. It's the next level shit that like people are posting on their social medias about it and making money selling merch to kids with this shit. But you can't smile next to fucking Xannies and lean on your Instagram like it's fucking cool and then turn around and be like, oh bro, I got a real problem. Like how can you talk to me like this? Okay, if you have a real problem, don't be promoting this shit like it's cool.
Right.
If you know it's a real problem.
Exactly. Like it's the long-term thinking. It's being like, holy shit, this was cool when I started. And now all of a sudden I have a problem. And I knew that it could be a problem.
Yeah.
It's well documented. You can see it everywhere, but you choose to ignore it.
Bro, I've known addicts who I would never like go up to them and be like, you're a loser. What the fuck are you doing? They're addicts. But you know what? They're embarrassed of it.
Yeah, I know.
They hide it.
I know.
And they struggle with it. And I sympathize with that. I have empathy for them.
Yes.
I feel bad for them and I try to help them. But they're not out here on their Instagram being like, oh, I'm a fucking drug addict. This is dope. Be like me.
Right.
And that's the world we've gotten to with hip hop. Like,
no, I know.
There's so much pill talk. There's so much lean talk. And it's like someone like Russ who has a voice now and is speaking out against that, for someone to vilify him for speaking out against that is just, it's weirdo world to me. It's common sense that drugs are bad and pushing that type of shit to kids is bad. Like, what world do we live in where the person speaking out against that is wrong and it's fuck them? That's a weirdo world.
It's not. It's literally like, I don't think it's as simple as being like, okay, it's fuck the guy that says fuck drugs or anything like that. I think it's because he says it with such bluntness.
You have to though.
But that's what I'm saying. And that's why people are so soft.
Yeah, exactly. Because no message gets across if you tiptoe around it.
But that's what sickens me, is it's like, dude, you hear this guy and he talks, and literally it's almost like hearing me talk. When he says anything, I would say it the exact same fucking way.
Yeah.
The exact way. If I actually wanted to make a point.
And I have to check you many times because you get way too like animated and in people's face.
Yeah.
And I have to check you.
Right. But I guess that's the thing.
I thought he did a really good job in the Breakfast Club interview. I thought in the Hot 97 interview, he started to get a little too, because he was very talkative in both interviews.
Yeah.
Like the interviewers rarely spoke. And especially in the Hot 97 one, I got a little, he got a little too talkative, and he started, like, he'd talk for a while.
Yeah.
And he'd be done making his point. And Ebro would want to jump in and add to it. And Russ would literally hold his hand up to Ebro and be like, no, bro, like multiple times. And it was like, Russ, dude, you're on their radio station. Like you've been saying your piece. Like let the man, and the man's basically agreeing with you.
Right.
Like let him speak.
And but you want to know the crazy thing is? I think that was stemming from his vibes off of Rosenberg.
It could be,
but
that's Russ's problem because if you got vibes off Rosenberg and you start doing something to Ebro, like that makes no sense.
No. I totally agree with that. I'm just saying I could see where that was stemming from because the Breakfast Club interview to me went way better, way more tame than that one was, just because of the fact. No one was really giving any vibe against Russ at the Breakfast Club. Like, not even to give him advice or anything like that. Yeah. They were literally just pretty much agreeing with whatever he was saying.
Yeah.
Rosenberg at least was coming back and being like, I feel like you're going to feel... He always says this shit to, like, young artists. Yeah. I feel like you're going to feel different in 30 years and blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, no. That's just not true.
Yeah. I hate when these artists come in and they're successful and they're doing... the right things. They're doing good things. Russ is doing good things, especially when you compare him to all these other artists in hip hop. But yet he's got to end these interviews with like advice from these dumbasses.
Yeah, it's like
it pisses me off. Like that was what pissed me off so much with the Nadeska shit. The whole time she kept being like, "But don't you think you'd be better if you just?" He's fine.
No, that's the difference. In your world, I would be different.
Yeah.
It would. Like, if I was trying to fit into what you're trying to fit in, yes, I would need to do that.
Right.
But I'm not. And I have zero interest in trying to.
Yeah.
That's what he keeps, and that's what flies over everybody's head, is everyone's on Twitter and Instagram and being like, why wouldn't you want to be a part of that world?
Right.
You must be an insane idiot if you don't want to be a part of that world.
Right. I'm just glad he's out here saying the shit that I feel, but he has the fucking platform to do it. So props to him.
Yeah, that's the only reason I wanted to touch base on it, is just because
And hey, it's working out. Like all the negative attention and then his smart responses. Like he's got people like us who are on his side and are bigger fans of him because like none of this even has anything to do with the music. I like his music, but I like him.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And so he's got fans behind him like that, and he's also got attention because of all the negative side of it, so it's working out for his career too.
Yeah.
And he keeps making the right moves when I hear him say stuff like, I got 2 more albums and then I'm out. Like he's got it planned out. He's smart, man. He's been working, he's been wanting this life for a long time, and he plots things out, and he's smart, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of Russ, dropped his album.
Yeah.
Did you listen to it other than that when we were in the whip the other day? When you played it on the way
I
back
did,
from tour?
But not like all the way through like I did.
Do you have any thoughts?
Honestly, it really didn't do a whole lot for me.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I think it was I didn't not like it. I think there just wasn't as many things as I would add. I always just base, like, you know, I always just base everything off of replay value, just because there's so many good albums now. Like I can listen to an album and be like, another solid album. Like it's like people are just talented nowadays, and they put together really good albums.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain artists that are just good artists and aren't going to give you trash.
Right. Like, and I didn't think any song on that album was trash. I literally just was kind of like, I don't feel the urge to add any of these things to replay them.
It was a lot more of a internal, or a more personal storytelling album than his previous.
Right. You could tell that's what he was trying to go towards, and he did it.
Yeah, the first album was very much, I came up, I'm here, so there were more single type songs.
Right. Especially because he put a lot of his singles of before on the album.
Right, so he had a lot more time to work with. This one, for what he was going for, I thought he did a good job. I tend to agree with you as far as like not a shit ton of like replay value for me.
Right.
As a whole, I liked listening to the album. The flute song was a great single that has replay value for me.
Yeah.
I love Missing You Crazy. I feel basic because as soon as I heard that record, I loved it. And I was like, that's the one. And now it turns out I think that's like the most pop. That's everyone's favorite. Yeah, so I was like, okay, I'm not very unique in that. I thought the album started off a lot better than the first half is better than the second half. Just as far as interest goes. But he got really personal in it, and I think that's cool. I like when my artists do that. Yeah. Like he talked about his family situation and shit like that. That even though I follow Russ on socials, I didn't know a lot of that.
This was a very much so diary album for him.
Yes. And for that reason, I say good second album. And you know what? I've been thinking about this a lot because I'm always thinking about this for my music, but like Russ puts out so many songs and singles and stuff, and the way music is digested, and we're not going to get into all that because we talk about it all the time on this podcast, but I think that's great for an album to tell stories, have a few singles that people like, whatever, but I don't think it's even smart these days to put all your best single type songs on an album because they don't get the attention they should. Like he put out a few singles between his last album and this one, like Back to Life. Great song. Like could have been on an album and had replay value and been a single, but he put it out as it was, and it probably did more than it would if it was an album cut.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And after this album, he's gonna put out more singles, I'm sure. And so he's doing it right. As far as the album goes, I didn't like it as much as Wolf, but solid. I thought he did what he set out to do.
You see, I just saw before I hit this podcast, he made the Forbes list.
Yeah.
That's insane.
15 million, I think it said.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, this is what I'm talking about, though. This guy lives in the real world. He's not out here being like, check out my whip, check out my whatever. He's being like, I'm selling out shows by myself. Right. This is real money.
Right.
That should be that's inspiring to me. Yeah. That should be inspiring to all up and coming artists.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, what do you want? A cool car, or do you want money in your bank account?
Yeah. Do you want to follow Little Yachty, or do you want to follow somebody that actually is doing something? Like that. I guess that's the thing is it's like I never see any of these other rappers on Forbes lists. No, and yet they stunt like they are.
Huge rappers are on Forbes list.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, was he on, like, I don't remember what the list was.
I don't know.
I'm just pretty sure it was 15 mil.
Yeah, that he was like tied for 20 or something like that. I don't fucking know what it was. Like I said, I literally just saw it before I went on the podcast.
I'm going to see if I can look it up.
But, I mean, either way, it's like, I guarantee you, like, none of these other guys are.
Yeah, he was number 20. Cash King's list.
Yeah.
And this is what people get mad at, but I love it. Like he on his Instagram post. Can it come across arrogant? Whatever. Yeah, but is it all true? Yes. Here's his Instagram post that posts that he's number 20 and at 15 million. He has quotes around this because it's a lyric. I ain't make the Dean's list, but I bet I make the Forbes list. 2015 lyrics manifested. Thank you to the fans. Made the Cash Kings list. Tag a rapper who shows cash and jewelry all the time, but didn't make the list. With a bunch of laughing faces. Like,
right.
Yes.
Dude, it's true.
Yes.
Like, I don't know how.
And you can be mad that
people get so offended by the truth.
Yeah, and you can get mad that he's arrogant, whatever, but like, okay.
It's like.
These other rappers are arrogant about shit that isn't even real.
How dare you say something that's true?
God. Yeah, good for him, man.
We're not out here in real life.
Good for him. I wonder what, have you looked up predicted sales for the album?
No.
I haven't either. I guess it's kind of, well, it's not that early.
I'm just like, I mean, I'll hear it when I hear it. Not even like, because, I don't know. Well, when did that come out?
Friday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see it. I can't find anything yet.
All right, what else?
I had something else. Oh, few things still. It's been a big week. I guess we could just. Did you see the Eminem interview with Sway?
No.
It's only 12 minutes. And I guess
Of course it is.
there's like a part 2. There's like a part 2 coming.
And that's 10 minutes?
I don't know, but in part 1 he doesn't really say too much. Like it's not.
Does Eminem ever say anything?
Yeah, to
in
me
interviews?
it's really not that interesting. The only thing was like, I think Sway asked him like, why'd you drop out of nowhere type thing, and M had a good answer for it, but it's not like groundbreaking news. It's like shit that people knew now that
Right.
M just kind of figured out. Is like, well, if I don't give people time to like see the track list and blah blah blah, they can't hate on it beforehand, and they just have to digest it for what it is. And an artist on Eminem's stature, especially because of his previous albums and stuff, that's a good idea. It's not necessarily like a lot of artists should be thinking about shit in the opposite way. Like I can give people time to get excited about it.
Right.
Like I would think if I dropped something like a track list a month before my album, that most people wouldn't be like, most people would be, oh, I can't wait, instead of like, oh, this is going to be dog shit. But M is in a weird situation where he's right about that. And I think that was smart.
Which is why bigger artists are dropping out of the blue because of that. Like, it's not just M. It's
I know. But I thought, like, other than that, they didn't really say much. But at the end, they left the cliffhanger of him talking about Joe Budden. So that'll be in part 2. But I guess I'll touch on that too. It happened like last week because, like, on Joe Budden's podcast, did you listen to the one when he was talking about Eminem's album? What'd you think? Do you have any thoughts on it?
I mean, the bottom line is I thought it's a younger artist at the time, being Joe Budden's gut reaction to him being new to the industry and not really realizing how it works. So therefore him and M did not have the greatest relationship because he expected more than what he probably should have expected at the time. Which
I don't think either of them is really wrong in that.
No, neither one of them is wrong in that. Him saying that he's, I couldn't tell if he was saying it. Well, I guess now he's kind of saying he's a better rapper. Is that what he's saying? Or he's just doing better in the industry?
No, he's saying he's a better rapper than Eminem. For the last decade, he's been a better rapper than Eminem. And it was smart for him to say for the last decade.
Yeah. I mean,
because that's not including Eminem's best album.
Okay. But I don't even, how do you measure that though? Like, because they came out with better songs, or like, who's the better rapper is kind of like.
Okay, let me give you my opinion now. I think Joe Budden is super corny for his podcast about Eminem. I thought, because he was yelling, he was like super into it, talking about how he's been a better rapper than Eminem for the last decade, right?
Right.
Really yelling and screaming. And he was saying shit like, because M said his name in that song.
Right.
And he was like, basically, here's how I want you to diss me, and then I'll come get you.
Yeah. I know.
And in the meantime, talking about how you've been a better rapper for a decade and blah, blah, blah. M called your name.
Right.
You either respond as an MC or be a media person.
Right.
Don't, in media, talk about how dope of an MC you are and how you would respond if he dissed you the way you wanted.
But you want to know what that is?
That's ridiculous.
That's media.
But I think that's okay. I was never like a Joe Budden guy as a rapper. Just never really got into his catalog.
Yeah.
Never really interested.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Joe Budden, the media guy, the media personality.
Yeah.
And him doing that as a media guy, I thought was corny.
Yeah.
I thought that was super corny. And I don't even want to see him, because some people are like, oh, rap, respond in a rap. I don't want to see him.
Not interested.
I like retired Joe Budden. I like him as a media personality. And as soon as you start getting back into that road, like, you can maybe come across as corny. You can risk certain things that are being successful for you right now. So I don't even want to see him do that.
No.
I just don't want to see him talking as a media personality about what he would do as a rapper, but he's not gonna because M didn't diss him correctly. Like, I saw a tweet that and props to Joe Budden for retweeting it, but I couldn't agree more. Someone said, like in person, like obviously sarcastically coming at Joe, they said, I've been a better chef than the head chef at the Hilton, except I won't prove it by cooking. I'll just talk and rant on a podcast trying to sway public opinion because cooking would be a simple way of proving it.
Right.
And my thing is, I agree with that fan in the sense that, like, yeah, shut up or respond.
Right.
One or the other. And I don't know, dude. To me, it's just like, you're the one that has to leap, Joe. M has the resume. Well, so you talking to all this shit about like he didn't do whatever in the right way. I've been the better rapper for the last 10 years. Blah 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 blah. Eminem's the one with the resume.
Joe Budden.
So if you got something to prove, you have to prove it. You don't get to tell M, you got to do this, and then we can start sparring.
Yeah,
no. It's on you, Joe.
Joe Budden has always been that way, though. Like even when you remember all those songs that he came at Drake on, and like just claimed himself to be the winner of it, and like,
he sent a million songs Drake's way, a million raps.
But here's the thing. Joe Budden as a rapper is not relevant to these guys.
That's fine, but I'm not even, because I hate that too. Like, I don't think you just say, oh, you're the bigger rapper, you're the better rapper. I don't think that's true.
No,
so I don't mind Joe Budden claiming he's a better rapper than Drake in raps.
Okay, but it's all claims. Like,
right, that's fine, but that's what rap is, dude. What do you want him to say? Drake, you're better than me, Drake, blah, blah, blah. No, he thinks, and he might be, as far as just as like, right, being good at rapping, he might be a better rapper than Drake. He had some good disses to Drake in that time. Drake, just because Drake's smart and has bigger games to play, Drake didn't respond, blah, blah, blah. So I don't have a problem with that. My problem is he's not a rapper anymore. But he was talking like a rapper who wasn't gonna rap.
I know,
you can't talk as a rapper if you're not gonna rap.
I guess I'm just
talk as a media guy if you're gonna be a media guy.
I agree. I'm just not interested in Joe Budden rapping anymore. Like, that's just not like.
No, I'm not either. I'm just saying if you're gonna, then do it. If you're not, then shut up about it.
Yeah, but that's him dude, and that's the thing, man. When you start getting money for like media shit and everything, you better believe there's pressure on him now to like do shit because he's actually getting money for it. He will become corny because he's trying to do that shit now.
Yeah, but that's not how he's even built his.
It doesn't matter, dude. You know this better than anybody else, like, especially in the independent world. You get to a point, yes, you keep growing independently.
I get what
and
you're saying. Antics help. Antics sell.
But antics will get you either over or under the plateau that you're going to see if you just keep doing the same thing over and over again.
What do you mean over or under?
They'll either make you fall or it'll make you great.
Yeah, and I think that's a bad look for Joe.
Yeah, I mean, and that's fine, but
like, yeah, it's not. I'm not saying, oh my, they're in trouble now. I'm just saying it's just a bad look.
I think most people would agree with you, but you can't disagree that it makes it, like, even if you don't think so, like, consciously, it made it more interesting to listen to by him always doing that shit.
Maybe. As far as the M interview, I'm gonna wait to comment on that till the second part comes out because he didn't really get into the MGK thing. He didn't really get into Joe Budden. So those are the two things I'm actually interested in. I'd also rather hear Eminem respond to MGK in a rap than in an interview. So I guess we'll see. But shout out to MGK again for the diss. Seems to be working for him. M hasn't responded. #1 song on the iTunes charts in the US. Rap Devil. So
Rap Devil.
Good for him. Last thing on my agenda. Did you get into any of the Serena Williams stuff?
I did.
So for those of you, I guess I'm just going to kind of hope those of you that are interested in this kind of know.
It's easier to, I don't even want you to explain it because you kind of have to, you can explain it, but it doesn't really do it justice until you actually like see the recap. Because yes. I read a lot of articles about it and I still didn't fucking understand what the hell was going on. Yeah. Until I actually like saw it and compared it with the article.
Yeah. I mean, I have a quick rundown of the order of events that maybe I can do really quick. So Serena is given a violation warning for coaching. Her coach was coaching her while she's on the court, which you're not technically supposed to do in tennis. And she goes up to the ump and she's in his face disputing it. Like, she's upset. And she says a bunch of things, including, I don't cheat to win, I'd rather lose, right? So then she loses the next set. Granted, don't forget, the first thing was a violation, or it was a warning. Like, nothing actually happened. She got a warning.
Right.
She loses the set. She smashes her racket in frustration, like smashed it.
Right.
And so because this is her second warning now for smashing the racket, that's a point penalty.
Okay.
A point.
Yep.
You know, not the end of the world. It's still something, but not the end of the world. But she broke her racket. She slammed her racket. So after that, after she got that violation, she's going up to the ump. Every time I play here, I have problems. I didn't have coaching. I don't cheat. You need to make an announcement. I have a daughter and I stand for what's right. You owe me an apology. So and the next changeover, she says, for you to attack my character is wrong. You owe me an apology. You'll never be on a court with me as long as you live. You're a liar. You owe me an apology. Say it. Say you're sorry. How dare you insinuate that I was cheating? You stole a point from me. You're a thief. She's saying this while she's sitting next to the ump on a changeover.
Right.
He gives her another violation.
Right.
Because she's like verbally berating him.
Yep.
The third violation in tennis is a game penalty, which is a steep penalty. Then she demands other referees to come out, says a bunch of other stuff, basically claims that because she's a woman, she's given this stuff, like it wouldn't happen to men. Unreal. Blah, blah, blah. The other girl, Osaka, wins the match, and the crowd afterward is like booing because they're mad at the ref because Serena's mad. Like, everybody loves Serena. They're mad. They're with her. Yep. And so much so that Osaka apologizes for winning. Yep. And then Serena like puts her arm around her and gets the crowd to cheer, right? Okay, so for those of you that didn't know, that's how it went down. Now, in the aftermath, there's two sides. There's the side that's like Serena had a breakdown, mental breakdown, and lost it. And then there's another side that's like Serena got treated unfairly and wow, she handled it amazingly.
Right. I
am very firmly on the first side of Serena had a breakdown.
Yes.
My thing is, if I was the ump, it doesn't get that far. I don't like what the ump did. In the finals of a US Open match, costing somebody a game is a big deal.
Right.
You're the ump. You're not the star of the show.
Right.
Swallow your whistle.
Yeah.
Serena was not right to berate him like that.
Right.
But at that point, if I'm the ump, you just take it.
Right.
And you let the players finish out the match. And Serena was getting beaten handily, mind you. Like, none of this really had much of a bearing on the match. Osaka was going to win. So my thing with Serena, though, is, that being said with the ump, okay, you got warned for coaching, right? It's in tennis, for those that don't know, from what I understand, coaching is one of those things that like everybody does it, but you're not supposed to, but it's just like never called.
Not really.
Yeah.
What do you mean everybody does it?
Like, all coaches coach their players while they're on the court in some form or fashion, but it's like, unless you make it super obvious or something, it's not called for the most part. That's what I've been hearing.
It's a gray area for sure. But
so,
it's up to interpretation by the ref.
Right.
So.
It is a rule. You're not supposed to take coaching while you're on the court.
That's why it's a gray area.
So here's my thing.
It's not like it just...
But I'm going to give Serena the benefit of the doubt here because I am against her on this.
Okay.
I'm going to give her the full benefit of the doubt. Let's say everybody does it, right? But it is a rule that you're not supposed to. The ref calls it on her. Let's say that's shitty, right? He's within his right to do it, but let's say that's really shitty.
Right.
It's a warning.
Right.
He warned you to not take coaching.
Yes.
Roll your eyes and get back to the game.
That's why it was a breakdown.
Right. And she doesn't. She slams her racket, which from what I hear is, especially the way she slammed it, it wasn't just like kept it in her hand, like hit it on the ground. Like the racket was mangled. From what I hear, that's pretty much a violation anywhere. And so because it was her second one, it's a point. Yeah. Which, okay, Serena, you did slam your racket.
Right.
Also, it's a point.
Right.
Not the end of the world. Come back from it.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't. She berated the ump, went at him, saying all these things. And that's what caused the ump to give her the third violation. It never had to get there.
Right.
I don't have to say I agree with the ump giving the violation in order to feel that Serena was stupid.
Right.
It never had to get to that point. So here's something that's really interesting to me that can kind of paint a picture for people. So Serena's coach was interviewed after the match. Okay. And she, I believe the interviewer straight up asked him, what happened? Like, did you coach her?
Right.
Here's his response.
Well, I mean, I'm honest. I was coaching. I mean, I don't think she looked at me, so that's why she didn't even think I was. But I was like 100% of the coaches on 100% of the matches. So we have to stop.
He said, I'm honest. I was coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And his reasoning basically, everybody does it. But he straight up said, I'm honest. I was coaching. Right? Okay. Now, keep in mind, this is. I'm going to play the interaction between Serena and the ump after the first warning. This is the coaching warning, right? So all the ump did is say, you got coaching. This is a warning. There's no point penalty. There's no game penalty. You got coaching. Here's a warning, right? Here's Serena.
I didn't get coaching. I didn't get coaching. You need to make an announcement that I didn't get coaching. I don't cheat. I didn't get coaching. How can you say that? You owe me an apology.
Wow.
You owe me an apology. I have never cheated in my life.
Wow.
I have a daughter and I stand what's right for her.
I have a daughter.
And you owe me an apology.
Get out of here.
So she's telling the ump that he owes her an apology on the mic. Like she said, you need to tell everybody that I wasn't cheating. First of all, she's the one that jumped to this whole cheating thing.
Right.
She didn't get a penalty for cheating. She got a penalty for coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And the penalty isn't even, it doesn't even have to be Serena staring at her coach. If the ump sees the coach coaching, right, Serena's just the one that takes the penalty.
Right. Exactly.
So that's just what it is.
But that's what I'm saying.
So she's
an overreaction.
She's insisting, I didn't get coached. Your coach said he was coaching you.
I know.
So whether you want to argue that this shit should be enforced in tennis or not, it's a rule. It was called correctly. And it's just a warning.
ESPN,
you move on. And it's like
ESPN reported that at least 2 other players had been cited during the same US Open tournament for the same thing.
And I heard that ump has called male players on shit in other tournaments too.
And it says at the end of this article, overall at the event, 86 cold violations of all sorts were given to men compared to 22 for women.
And dude, right?
Come on.
So yeah, the whole sexist thing is stupid,
absurd.
And my whole thing is, I don't even want to entertain it because I think it's stupid. But you lose all your credibility with how you act. Your coach coached, which letter of the law he's not supposed to do. The ump called it. It's just a warning. Relax.
Yeah.
You're the one that brought it to cheating, saying the ump owes you an apology, repeating over and over that you didn't get coaching when you did.
Right.
What are you talking about?
Right.
And then for me as just a casual fan, it upsets me because, and I'm gonna just use this one in particular, but this is a sentiment I saw a lot on social media and such after the match. If I can find it, I probably can't now. Shit. But it was just basically like I saw hella people. Oh, here it is. Like big upping Serena and like how So this is an encapsulation of what I saw. It's a Kevin Hart Instagram post with a picture of Serena. The definition of a champion is displaying class when necessary, and that's exactly what you did by giving your opponent her moment and making the crowd give it up for her. Blah, 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 blah.
What?
What? Bro, what world? You took your opponent's moment away. A 20-year-old who won her first major. They were booing her. She apologized for winning. And then you went over and put your arm around her and told the crowd to cheer. Oh, awesome.
It's pretty degrading to me.
It's shitty. And
Yeah.
I'm not holding Serena responsible for the crowd. I'm not even saying it's fuck Serena for all this shit. I'm saying, what world do we live in where people are saying what she did was super classy and all this shit? I'm not saying you have to crucify her. You don't have to vilify her at all. Just don't say the opposite.
No.
Don't talk about how classy she was. Osaka was classy. It's ridiculous,
And
dude.
I was reading other tweets from like men tennis players, like famous dudes, like that were saying, like guys get away with saying a lot worse than what she said for that game thing or whatever.
Yeah.
That he was a thief or whatever. And stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, so it's a judgment call.
Yeah.
This guy's an umpire.
Well, and
like the bottom line is, could a black coach in the NCAA yell at a white ref for teeing him up and saying that it's because he's black? Just to say it.
right.
Just to be like, and then everybody would be like, you know what?
Oh yeah. Then it's
That kind of makes sense.
Then it's a thing. It's like maybe Serena, it just happened.
Or you just broke the damn rule.
Well, and what I heard is that ref is one of the actually one of the refs that will call people on things like this more than other umps.
Yeah.
So it's just like maybe it just happened.
Yes.
And you know what? It didn't have to be a big deal.
No.
You made it a big deal. And you took someone else's moment away in the meantime. And she's done this shit before at the US Open. And it's always when she's getting her ass beat too.
Right. Does Izzo fucking break down every time TV Teddy makes a terrible call against
Kinda.
Michigan State? Does he get kicked? He gets technicals, but it's like, does he get kicked out of the game?
To me, it's just the whole like men can do it is like, even if that's true, right?
It's obviously not.
No, but I'm saying, even if it is, right? Because who are you to say it's obviously not? Like, yeah, we look at data and stuff, and it doesn't necessarily seem to be that way. But if a lot of male players say, I've said worse, blah, 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 and it doesn't get me anything.
It's circumstantial.
Well, I know,
though.
like one of the circumstances is Serena was berating the ump when she was on her third violation.
Right.
I've seen lots of guys berate umps, get a warning, and they shut up.
Exactly.
Like they have that system in place where 1, 2, 3, they have certain penalties
that's
for
the
each
thing.
one, and hers happened to be the big penalty.
You can't talk about a personal experience and make it law. Like that is not a thing.
But I'm saying even if, which I'm not saying I believe this.
It's just
I'm
bullshit.
saying
but
even
okay.
if, like, the women aren't getting away with the same things men are. Deal with it after. You just made this whole scene, ruined this other woman's first major, possibly highlight of her career, to stand on your own soapbox of men can berate umps more than women can. And the whole,
But there's no
and dude, when she said in the audio I played earlier, like, I stand for what's right, I have a daughter. This is after she got called for a coaching penalty.
right.
A coaching warning.
I know.
I stand for what's right, I have a daughter. Where are you? Like, relax.
No.
Where is all this coming from? An ump says, your coach was coaching you, coaching penalty. It's a warning. It's not even any points off. It doesn't affect the game. That's what the ump called you on. And you jump to, I'm not a cheater. I have a daughter. I stand for what's right. Whoa, what are you talking about?
But that's the problem with all of this stuff is like what you just said. even if this is all true, like men do get away with more than women do or whatever, just wait till after. It's like that type of precedent is a little dangerous to set, because you can't just
You're
do
right.
stuff.
No, you're right. I agree with
Like-
you, because I don't agree that it was a sexist thing at all, and so I shouldn't even entertain that portion of
like
it.
that is absurd.
Right.
Period.
Right. No, it's like somebody makes, because I don't even think this was so egregious by the but like, somebody makes a bad call. You can't just jump to like the easiest victimization thing.
Yes,
like
exactly.
Like somebody does something against you. It's not always because you're a woman. It's not always because you're a minority. It's not always because of these reasons. But anytime somebody says it, then we have to look at it.
Right.
And this one just doesn't fall into that category. You get your warning. Let's say it was a bad call, which it wasn't, because your coach admitted he was coaching.
Right.
Let's say, though, most people don't get called on that. It was unfair. Okay. It was a bad call.
It happens all the time in sport.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's happened to it's happened to men before, right?
Yes.
And what if the man went up to the ump and was like, if I was a woman, that wouldn't have been called.
Exactly.
We'd be doing the exact same thing.
Which, judging by the numbers, is more of an argument to make than this
Right.
other one.
Right. It's stupid, man.
It's still stupid, but
I know. It's stupid.
like,
And that's why at the end of the day, without even getting into the issues and the numbers of it, at the end of the day, to me, it's just like shame on Serena, because
it's
literally
sports.
she gets called for a warning that doesn't affect the game at all, right?
Right.
And she rolls her, and if she just rolls her eyes and goes and hits her
And
serve
doesn't do anything
and
else?
moves on, that's all it is. And the rest of
Exactly.
the match is finished out. But
Exactly.
she had to make a fucking scene.
Exactly.
Miss me, dude. And miss me with all the people that just are just fucking followers, dude.
It's like anything else. Like,
I love Serena, so she can do no wrong.
dude, how many basketball games has this nation watched where they're counting down the seconds and a ref calls a foul that they wouldn't normally call in that scenario?
Yes. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
If it's sports,
Right.
it happens.
When
when there's umpires and refs, they're human and they make calls.
Yeah, then there's absolutely absurd calls that have been made in the history of
Right.
sports. And if every one of them, you looked at the person and said, okay, it's because, like, is this person a minority?
Right.
And is the call made because of that? You'd be going so far down like the rabbit hole of that shit. Like I can think of so many absurd calls by Russ. Remember when Galarraga for the Tigers pitcher had a perfect game going, and on the last out, like, we got him out at first base, clear as fucking day, and they called him safe for no reason at all, just an awful blown call.
It was obviously racist.
Just you like, what if you said that? And that was a blown call. This ump actually, whether you want to argue that the only argument is that this call rarely gets made, but this call was actually correct. The coach admitted to coaching, which is a violation, which the ump called.
Right.
So you can argue that it rarely gets called.
The coaching thing rarely gets called. Okay.
Look at all the sports things that refs absolutely make absurd blown calls.
But that's what I'm
and
saying.
we don't jump to this shit.
Why do you get so upset?
I know, dude. It's frustrating. It's fucking frustrating.
Throwing your racket. Violation. Sorry.
Yeah, and if you want to talk to me that coaching should be allowed in tennis, or you should be able to throw your racket and show emotion without getting violations, we can have that conversation.
But that's a totally separate discussion.
I know. I like people showing emotion. I think that should be allowed, but it's not.
No, it's not.
Men get violations for it too.
Yeah.
Stupid. That was the thing that
Obviously more.
that was the thing that pissed me off this week.
Yeah, that was pretty absurd because I was on the same page as you.
And the thing that really gets me is like, I see this situation, right? Like, I actually saw it on Twitter first because I think we were on the road when it happened. So we weren't watching the match or anything.
No, that's where I saw it. But I
saw it
read
on
all
Twitter
the
first,
stuff, but I didn't get
but
it.
all the stuff I was seeing was pro Serena.
Yeah,
All the stuff I was seeing.
right.
And then I went back and watched it, the whole thing, like the whole extended moment. And I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
What is everyone else seeing that I'm not seeing? And then I went into it and I was like, okay, I'm not alone. There are people out here that are like, What the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're in an age that we celebrate complainers now.
Oh my gosh, dude. I'm pissed we ended with that. Now I'm in a bad mood.
Dude, you started the podcast talking about the Lions and the Spartans.
Yeah, there wasn't much great going on this week. Just a lot of bitching.
Can't really bring that up out of the ashes.
That's good for content though. A lot of bitching. People love that, right?
Yeah. Okay, go check out that new Apollo. Streaming now.
Yeah, guys, welcome Apollo to the label. Really dope artist. I really think you guys are gonna fuck with his music. I obviously wouldn't sign anybody that I didn't think you guys would fuck with their music, but Apollo, he's a really good rapper.
Yeah.
Like, to just put it as simply as possible.
And he works super fucking hard.
Mm-hmm.
Also, behind the scenes, a little bit of a, you know, what do you call it?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
So I got off the phone with Cyrus about 3 hours ago, and his music video for College Dropout is finally done. And I saw it, and it's pretty fucking dope.
I haven't heard from Cyrus in about 5 months.
Well, he's been waiting for that video to be done. And then he said he wants to drop that video, and then it's go time.
Dope.
So he wants to drop that.
Are you supposed to be saying that?
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure. Well, he's been fucking gone. I need everybody to know that he's still alive.
I just don't want any more like false. I don't want any more false starts. Like, I don't want to get the fans.
Well, this isn't the
hopes up
start.
again.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
And I don't know when the start is going to be. I'm just saying.
Oh, okay.
But I do know that this video will be dropping like as soon as we possibly can, because I know that he wants that.
Cool.
I think we're talking about Swaggy Tracks, debuting it on there.
Debut. You always say debut. I've literally never heard anyone say
It's a debut!
especially when it's debuting.
Well, I say
Like, I guess I've heard debut.
when I start a sentence, I say no. Is it when I start a sentence or in the middle of the sentence? Because I do say debut a lot.
No, you're a debut guy.
No, I'm not a debut guy.
Okay. Hey, shout out you guys. Dear Rap Game is off to a hot start. I really appreciate the spins on that. So keep spreading the word on that shit too.
All right. Word.
I'm excited for the College Dropout video. I really like that song.
Yeah. The guy that did it did a really good job on it. So,
Dope.
yeah. Okay. I think I'm just going to spin the Apollo shit back.
Yeah.
How about that?
I love this song.
I've been working on myself. I've been trying to love somebody. I don't even love myself. And I never sold my soul, but I'm still hoping that it sells. Goddamn. Saw me on Twitter, but took it to dinner.